Good morning. This is once again we are here. We're not once again, but once again for us. We did a whole show, basically a whole
An
hour of nothing to you guys.
A full hour.
I have not used this software in a while, and I messed up. So I will be.
I was making sure we are live.
The whole world. We're live for the whole world right now.
Hooray! My name's Jamie. I'm grateful to be in recovery.
Me too. I'm Rick. I'm grateful to be in recovery. We're Unrecognizable Recovery, which is, I'll just preface this, we are not a recovery program. We are an informational source for recovery. So you come to us when you need information about recovery. That's what we're going to do. You can come and see us any other time you'd like to. Look at our videos. This is the first one. If you're a former viewer from the Core Life Network, everything about the Core Life Network is gone. It's
over.
It's over because that is my past. I moved away from it. I'm good. Everything is gone. Nothing to see. It's great. Have fun.
Welcome to 2026. We're starting over.
We're starting over at 2026. That's fantastic. That's right. Living in your past is no fun, right?
Absolutely not. It is so freeing in finding that you don't have to be defined by that or live in that. And that I always say, give it to God because he's more qualified to deal with it than me.
Right. I don't have any issues with that. I definitely appreciate this chance to start anew. And
we're going to start anew.
That's what New Year's are all about. And this actually came together after the New Year. We had talked briefly about this at one point, and then we said, let's do it. So we basically came up in a few days. We met for coffee last Saturday, and now we're doing a live stream on YouTube. So the world will know about recovery programs, and we're going to continue to talk about recovery issues, programs, whatever you need to know. We're an information source.
Absolutely.
We continue to research recovery because it's my passion now. I used to have a passion for cooking. I still do. I like to do it. That's my job. I cook at a local university, and I'm happy with it. And that's my source of income. That's what I do. I'm never be rich because you're never going to get rich in restaurants unless you own one.
That's the truth.
Aren't they a bad investment?
Oh my God.
They close quickly.
I miss it. I have to tell you, I went to graduate school. I got a bachelor's in theater and then social work and speech comm, and then a master's in social work. I worked in restaurants, bartending and managing restaurants for, close to 3 decades. And I would still choose to do that versus use my degree. Isn't that so weird?
Isn't it weird that you find something else? I was actually, my first major was music. And you can tell now I play the guitar. Yeah, my first major was music. But I really wasn't big into piano, and you have to be a really good piano player.
I love the piano.
It's a great instrument, but man, there's so much. And when I was doing it, I just wasn't into it. In fact, I was interested in partying. Imagine that.
What?
Oh, yeah. The drum line at Long Beach City College used to drink during rehearsals. It was right up my alley, man. We were plastered. We were good. We were really good, but we were drunk.
But you had some, motivation. I was at musical theater from, the beginning of time. I did Josie Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at a very, very young age with Sam Harris and then Donny Osmond, and traveled like that. But I was supplementing my energy and acting with, controlled substances. I guess we could say it like that. It's funny how we do that. It's crazy. It's crazy that we did an entire show for an hour and we weren't live. And that was just like the last in a line of attacks, I'm going to say, from the enemy this morning. Rick was sick over the weekend. I am a week out of surgery. I had been sick. My kids are sick now. My dog ran away. Rick's panicking. It's 9:56. And I'm like, hold on. I'm running back to my house.
With the dog, Harley
the Huskadoodle. If you didn't know that was a breed, it is. And she looks like an old man. She's very cute, but also trained. I've never had an issue. She was potty trained super young. She's really good and trained and will sit and speak and high five and all the things. But she also has us trained So, you know, huskies like to run around. They do like the zoomies or whatever. So when she runs away, it's not, I ran away and you have to go search me. I know where she is. She goes a block away to where this apartment complex is, kind of over by a little in a big area. There's a hospital. There's all sorts of stuff going on over there, but she'll just sit there. If I go down the street with the leash, she's not coming. She'll take off again. But if I pull up, as soon as my little car comes around the corner, she's gleefully running and will jump right in the car. It's ridiculous. She has us trained.
Excellent. My cat has me trained. Actually,
yeah. Talk about Amy.
My cat Amy is wonderful. She's from the streets of LA. She's from
Which is crazy.
LA. Watts, gang infested Watts, mainly Hispanic now. Used to be a black community in LA. There's a riot there in 1968 that my dad served the National Guard quelling. He was a medical officer and he dealt with people who had been, well, you know, kind of messed with.
Yeah.
By the National Guard. And so he did all that. But that's his history. But Amy's from there. Let's start there. Amy's from there. A lady named Betty or Bertha. She's Hispanic. Hardly speaks any English at all. We're friends on Facebook of amazing things. We're friends on Facebook. So she gets to see Amy in a whole new world. She was a pregnant kitten on the streets of LA, was rescued. And then my cousin, who lived in Southern California at the time, who now lives in Arizona, got Amy as a foster. And she fostered her for 3 years until I felt I was ready for an animal.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So I was ready for an animal because I didn't know if I could afford it. I didn't know all these things. I love her. She's the greatest animal and the pet that I deserve. Because sometimes you get pets that just, I don't know, they all got their issues. But this one I deserve. She goes in her litter. She loves me. But the thing is, it's funny. If I sit down in my chair, I have this reclining chair that I got from Love Inc. Shout out to Love Inc.
Yay. Love in the name of Christ.
Love in the name of Christ here in Mahaska County, which I just gave our location. But, you know, no one cares. A lot of people know where we are.
It's too late.
We're easily found. We're easily found. We'll discuss the swatting issue in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, we will talk about that.
But Amy's great. And what was I saying? Gosh, I was talking about.
Oh, I was just checking to see if we were live because I got a comment on my Facebook. We weren't, but we absolutely are. So, gosh, I don't know. I got sidetracked. You were talking about your chair.
Oh yeah. I got a chair. I got when I sit down in my chair with my phone, my beautiful iPhone. Here it is.
Fancy.
There's Amy. There's Amy right there. But I sit down in my chair. Let's see. She is watching. So
of course, she
also hears her name. Hi, Amy. Want to come see me? Anyway, when I sit down on my chair with my phone, she jumps up in my lap and follows the hand with the phone in it because she thinks this means I'm gonna love on her. I have on her, and I oh my gosh, I have to set my phone down and love on her, or I mean, it gets wild. It's wild, but I love her. She's great. Pets are important. You know, I feed her a good quality wet food. Called Avengers out of from Chewy. I get it delivered to my door. I love it. I don't have a vehicle, so I have everything delivered. It's been magical how many things I can get delivered to my door. But
that is amazing.
But I'm okay. So, but she feeds quality wet food and a wood-based litter that doesn't smell. No cat smell in my house, folks. None. Anyway, that's Amy. That's Amy, and I am stoked. What were we going to talk about next? And we've been talking for
Well, I'm just thinking two things. Amy, when you get the phone out, she knows you're going to love on her because you're filming videos usually, right, and she stars in those. Next, I was going to shout out to my own kids because they're your biggest fans, even previously on the Core Network. They will still be tuning in. When they get in the car or home after school, that's actually what they usually check is
that vlog exists.
Yeah, they'll still be following it. A day in the life.
The unrecognizable vlog because I have different life.
Yep, I love it.
But yeah.
Well, we're talking about this morning in our previous live stream before we went live. How the enemy attacks, right? And how I had ordered a new video camera. The one that I had broke, and the tripod is also broken. So it was supposed to be delivered. So I just put the box up and set it on the shelf and was like, oh, I'll get it out after I take the girls to school. Well, then they're sick. And then I go open it, and it was another delivery that had like mascara and vitamins in it. Not helpful. So in my reaction now is totally different to what my reaction would have been like. You've got to be kidding me.
Jamie either passed out. Oh, she didn't.
Are you there?
Like, yes, of course.
Okay. Okay, something's happening.
Getting a phone call? Because you are frozen in time. It disconnected her. Well, anyway, we are live on Unrecognizable Recovery, and we will wait until Jamie. The devil attacks. There's all these things that are going on like this. This is the second time this kind of thing has happened today. But she just has to press the link and get back in. We said her text. I'm sorry about this. Link when you're ready. But anyway, we were talking about recovery issues. And one of the things that we were going to talk about today was control issues. I used to be a horrible control freak. I wanted everything and then right now. And I wanted to control these issues, but I had to realize that life was a complete uncontrollable in life. And that the only things I can control are my emotions, my reactions, and the people I hang out with, right? That is what happens, And when you start to realize that you can't control everything, I can't control politics, I can't control what's on TV, but I can make decisions that make them better. I can have a different emotional response than I did. I can have a different reaction. So those control issues were a big deal. And when we get Jamie back, we'll continue to talk. Jamie. I'm going to end the live stream and we'll restart this because you were getting attacked today, folks. We're going to end this live stream and we'll start anew. And it's the same link. We'll be on the same place. Maybe. I'm just going to stay right here and wait for Jamie and see if this works out. But I'll continue to talk about recovery. There are several different there's two main different kinds of recovery programs. There's secular and there's faith-based. And secular recovery is basically like AA and NA, or Alcoholics Anonymous, Recovery, Narcotics Anonymous, and like OA, Outrageous Anonymous, all kinds of things out there that are anonymous about these things, right? They're anonymous. They require anonymity, and I won't break my anonymity and tell you which programs I'm involved with. That's part. This is considered press. I will not talk about those programs other than what their basic tenets are. I'm not an expert. I just know a little bit. Continue to learn more. But this is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which started all this, okay, of recovery. I mean, I will say this book, the Bible, is the first recovery book. We're first recovery from all your hurts, hangups, and addictions. Because you'll never find in the Bible talking about wanting to be a drunkard. You'll find bad things happening when people drink or use. So they are all based on the fact that you don't have to have a particular God. You don't have to have a particular God. The faith-based ones are different. They generally require Jesus or some other documented entity. The secular ones basically require you to believe in a higher power of any kind. Like some people choose the group. I think that's the most common one in AA, who haven't found Jesus, because AA does bring people to Jesus, because the tenets in this book are based on the ones in the other book. These is based on a thing created by the 12 steps were already written. They weren't created by AA, but they were reformulated to work in AA. And it was based on a group by the Oxford group, which was a Protestant Wesleyan based on purity. They wanted absolute purity. Well, first alcoholics weren't pure. And I think you'll find a lot of alcoholics and addicts aren't pure, or people in the world just aren't, they can't deal with the Jesus concept, right? They can't deal with the God concept. Well, so they can choose a higher power like a God, right? So you go into these recovery groups, you have to choose a God. So some people choose the group. I think the group is the biggest one. And you're millions of people who are in recovery. Pretty good thing to pick if you don't have a God and you won't let yourself have a God. So you can pick that. You can feel it. You can feel a group. You can feel the stuff. It's a tangible object. I've even heard of people using baseball bats and tennis rackets, the whole deal. I don't know where Jamie is here. We'll find out. Let me see if her phone is working. She is not available. So we'll continue to talk. So you find to choose a higher power and you focus on the higher power to do all these things. And this book gives you a step of instructions, 12 instructions, not simple, but somewhat hard to work. You do basically through a program of steps. I'm powerless. Okay. I'm powerless over all things in life. I know that today. I am powerless over most things except that's giving up that control to something else. That's a complete surrender to this book and to a group of people. That's what you do. So you choose this or God of your understanding. I have chosen Jesus as my higher power, right? So you do this and you work these steps. And they take you through a series of steps. First one, powerless. Second one, turn power over to greater God. There's 12 of them. Let's see. Let me find the book. Where is my 12 and 12? There it is. This is another book for AA called The 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, which outlines the basic traditions and steps in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And we will read them. That we admit we are powerless of alcohol. This is the basics. That our lives become manageable. Now, I think everyone thinks they can manage their lives and they can't. I mean, that's a big deal, right? These can't manage life. They came to a power greater than ourselves could restore their sanity, which is, for me, Jesus. Made a decision to turn the wills over to the care of God as we understood him, right? This is the basics of a 12-step program. Step 4, made a searching fearless moral inventory, which is basically going over, or inventory. You write down all people you've harmed, right? You've harmed and why and what you've done. Admitted to God, you ourselves, and another human being exactly as you're wrong. So you basically talk to another human priest, or whatever, or another human about what you've done wrong. So you admit this stuff. You tell your story, what you've done, all these terrible things. And we're ready to remove the defects of character. So basically you pray to God and these characters. Now I can tell you my character defects are not gone, but I have a program of action in one of these things where I can do this. Step 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings, right? That's it. You ask your higher power, God, Jesus, whatever, to remove your shortcomings, right? And you make it in step 8, you become willing. You make a list of all the people you've harmed. And then you become willing to make amends to them all. That's basically it. You've been willing to make contact with all these people. And I believe that they should be made face to face. Step 9, make amends to people you would accept to do so would injure them or others. So you go to them and talk to them in person and you tell them what the deal is. Sometimes if you have financial agreements with people that you didn't honor, you pay them back. Step 9, can you take a moral inventory? Okay, you take a personal inventory every day. Like I write down, I do a basic inventory where I write down, I use an app on my phone, and I do these things, right? I'm part of a 12-step program. In step 11, you use prayer and meditation, right? Whatever that means to you, prayer, meditation, you use that to connect with your higher power to as we understand him, right? That's the biggest thing with a 12-step, with a secular 12-step group. Having a spiritual awakening as a time of these things, you take measures of alcoholics. So step 12 is basically service work. So find God, clean house, do service work. That's basically how a 12-step program works, right? I don't know where Jamie is, but we're going to continue with the show. And that's how they work with all kinds of different substances, addictions, whatever you got going on in your life. That's how a 12-step program works. Then there's another one that's secular. It's called Smart Recovery. And I'm just learning about it. I don't know a whole lot about it. But Smart Recovery is basically based on scientific principles and that you're the only one that has power. So it's basically the opposite of what AA does. And they say that You don't have to have a power product. There's no religion there. In fact, they don't talk about that at all. They talk about things like cognitive behavioral therapy. So they change their behaviors. They also don't focus on they don't focus on complete abstinence a lot of times. A lot of people don't remain abstinent because it's still an issue. But a lot of them choose to change their behaviors. Like they're not driving drunk. They're not doing these things. I'm fine with it now. I'm not having consequences anymore. Right? That's smart recovery in a nutshell. But faith-based recoveries are things like, there's one in town Jamie was really heavily involved with called Sober Soldiers. I've been to a few of their meetings. I know some of the guys. Good people. They do a God-based, Jesus-based recovery program. God and recovery comes first. Make it the focus of your life. Surrender to a God of your a higher power, Jesus, and He'll guide you through. They use the Bible right here as their recovery manual, and it's a fantastic recovery manual. It's basically the deal. They use that. There's other ones out there all over the world based on simple instructions. The Bible doesn't seem simple, but if you can get into it, you can find it. You can find the things you need. That's what the 12 steps were written on. Jamie Mack is here. Add to stage. Here she comes. Here she comes, folks. We're still waiting for Jamie. There's Jamie. Welcome back. Add to stage.
Aye. Can you see me?
I can.
Am I back?
I can hear you too.
I have been following. I'm gonna pause the live stream I've been watching. Oh my gosh, so much to share. So I'm just gonna say, I follow Jesus. Rick and I attend the same church, and I very much believe that the enemy attacks when he doesn't want us to share information or when we're doing God's work, right? So like we were talking about, like a camera not being delivered, the dog running away. Rick had two ladies outside of his apartment fighting over the placement of a light outside the apartment building this morning. Just now, my phone broke. I had to get an old phone, switch over my SIM card, reconnect to the Wi-Fi, redo all these things just to get back here. Is that crazy? I mean, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I call them like God-gidences. I don't know. I've heard people use that term before.
You know what
a God-gidence, maybe.
You know what I didn't do?
What?
Stop talking.
What's new? My husband calls Rick and I both. Billy says Rick and I are both A, chatty Cathy's, and B, we could both talk to literally anyone.
I do.
So that's definitely true. I just think it's crazy. Say that again.
I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to people I disagree with. I'll take that whole.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I can talk to anybody.
Yep. But the beauty about that and being in recovery is that what we were talking about before, we know that we can't control other people now. And I'm not going to get into it. You're never going to hear me talk bad about any other recovery program, period. I won't do it. If you find recovery, period, it's better than the life you were living before. I found recovery and hope in Jesus. That's what I know to be true. That's how I know I became a new creation. But what works for you, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But if you're watching this and you know anything about smart recovery, like Rick was just mentioning, I want to understand it because I don't understand it. Because what I've read online is that we talk about let's say I'm in smart recovery, and that I would say, I remain in control. I'm not powerless. I don't understand that, because without God, I was completely powerless, not just to my addiction, but to that criminal mentality, a criminal mindset, to the way that I view my life, other people, not following the word of God, which no matter how you spin it, whether you're a believer or not a believer, you read that book that Rick was just holding up and showing you. There is nothing in that Bible, any piece of advice right there, anything in that book. If you listen to that advice and accept it wholeheartedly, it's going to make your life exponentially better. Whether you believe in Jesus as your savior or that he can redeem you, restore you, renew you, whatever you believe, that advice is still good advice. The golden rule, right? Mm-hmm. That's coming from the Bible too. So whether you believe in that or not, it's still going to make your life better, right?
Right. You don't have to believe to read a book.
Absolutely. Certainly. Absolutely. I think you should. And I want to pray that prayer with you. Mm-hmm. That's like saying, like, I saw this video once on Facebook about this girl talking about how there was like a snake on the other side of her apartment door. Okay. And it's like, if someone was walking into that apartment, is she not going to say, no, don't go in there? There's a snake that's going to bite you. Right. Of course she's going to tell someone. So how am I, in good faith, knowing what happens when we die, not going to tell you about it? I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm going to be there. And quite honestly, the way I frame it to non-believers is what do you have to lose? Like, if I'm wrong, well, you've prayed a prayer and then nothing happens, right? But in the instance that I'm right, and I'm right, but in the instance that I'm right, you've got salvation and eternity to walk with Jesus in the pearly gates of heaven, right?
And I
think that's a good way to look at it.
I said and I'll attest to this. I said the sinner's prayer for the first time at about the age of 13 or 14. I went to a punk band called Undercover. They were out of Southern California. They traveled nationally, and they had a song called what is it called? Shoot. God. I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, he had this song. I wanted to go up. I said the sinner's prayer. He never let go. Never let go. It sticks with you, and he guides you through life. That's how I talk about being guided with the Spirit. You know, I talk about being guided by the Spirit now to do things. And that's changed my perspective on things. And now some people in other recovery programs find a spirit of their own, the Spirit. They find these things. Now, I don't know.
I'm going to flip.
Whatever. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Don't drop the phone. You only got one now. And there we are.
I only got one now. I know that's right. I don't know what happened to the other one, but sorry, go ahead.
You're talking
about the Spirit and being guided by the Spirit.
Right. Guided by the Spirit and doing, you know what happens? When you do the next right thing, the Spirit guides you.
Guided.
You're not doing the right thing.
100%.
You disconnect yourself from the God or your higher power of your life.
Yep.
And that's where I function. And drinking cut me off from God. I was doing the wrong thing. I'd black out.
Yes.
I'd try to walk out a window, go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I don't even remember any of that stuff. That's what I did. I drank. I'm a 100% disease believing alcohol because disease believing. I believe in a disease concept. Disease concept is recognized by medical professionals. So we're not talking about choice here. We're talking about someone who is powerless over the first drink in some situations. For me, so like if you're not like up in your spiritual conditions bad with me as the Holy Spirit, you're probably going to use. Okay, you're probably going to use because you're not banked up. You're not keeping your spirit right. You're not keeping this up.
Yeah.
You're not staying one step away from that next drink or using experience. Because I used many things in life. The only thing I pretty much stayed away from was meth and heroin because I just didn't have a real big thing.
Which I did both.
Yeah. Well, it's a yet. It's a yet.
Well, we ran the gamut. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I wasn't anything. I talked about this in our fake live stream rehearsal earlier, that I'm not, there's no moderation for me. So even with, let's talk about not substance addiction. Let's talk about food addiction. In 2021, I weighed 322 pounds. So when I got healthy, I am 5'10". I went from 322 pounds down to like 121 pounds. My BMI was like 16 and I had to have a TPN line in my arm. There's no moderation. It's all or nothing. It's all of the cherry Twizzlers or none of the Twizzlers. So that's kind of how we are. And it wasn't just, I chime in and say, yes, I did meth and heroin. I did all of the things. There was not really anything that I have never done. But we are all the way in kind of people. Like God, what God has done for me when we talk about being filled with the Spirit. And I just have that picture of them being in the circle and like the flames of the Holy Spirit, like talks about being flicked by the tongue and how the Spirit comes upon them. Cause I see it as like that light on inside me. Because for most of my young life, I would laugh at my sister and other believers. I pray and I'm like, how do you believe in something that you can't see? I believe in science and I believe in this and I can't see your God, you know? And now being filled with that Spirit, being filled with the light, when I look at situations, I'm like, oh my gosh, how can you not see it? Like how many times we've talked about this, how many different things in life has God saved us from?
Right.
And death. And we talked about driving drunk earlier and saved us from getting DUIs, saved all the people we should have killed. I mean, I'm talking about, I think a friend that's watching our live stream right now, her and I were leaving a bar, going to McDonald's at like 3 a.m. in a big city. It's normal. There's lots of people out. It's pouring down rain. I drove my brand new car off the on-ramp to a highway, ended up on another highway in the rain. I mean, the situations that God saves us from it's mind-boggling. But it's like you said, you look back and you know from the moment that you knew God, he's never left your side.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Right. I mean, the unbelievable things. When I was in what year was it? 2016. I was
God year.
I was using benzodiazepines on a pretty much regular basis. I was overdosing on them because I like the feeling they affect. And I was drinking as well. So I'm like, my blood pressure probably was super, super low.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't realize I was overdosing. I was just taking a couple more. But that's total abuse. That's not prescribed.
Oh, yeah.
So I look at what I did with benzodiazepines as total abuse today. And that was a prescribed drug. So you can abuse prescribed drugs too. A lot of them. Most of them.
For sure. For sure.
So I was using this and I took someone to work. She worked at a daycare center. And I took my new car and drove it off an embankment. Okay. So it got stuck like hanging off the edge of an embankment on a curb, or it would have gone all the way down. Right. It would have ruined the car. So anyway, I call a tow truck. I am hammered. Okay. I was very depressed at this time. I wanted to die. My whole situation sucked. The whole thing was stuck. I wanted to die. So I was doing all this stuff. And so I got out of the tow truck. I'm hammered. He comes up, he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, we'll get you out of here." So he starts to drag the thing away. So I get in my car, right? I'm waiting for him. And he decides to stop. And I push on the gas, drove into the tow truck in my brand new car that I just gotten off the lot 2 days sooner. So here I am sitting here.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, well, he says, there's no damage, and I'm not going to call the police. I would have strictly gone to jail. I was intoxicated beyond belief. It was like, 6:30 in the morning. I'd been doing like vodka and benzos. So I was hammered. Somehow I drove home from there, which is over on the east side of Des Moines. So I get home, pass out, wake up, I'll go outside, my car's damaged. I didn't remember even damaging my car, but I heard the story because I called to complain to the tow truck company about me backing into their tow truck. So yeah, I was really pushing the limit. That's a story that I don't usually tell, but that's my history. I don't remember it because I was blacked out.
Well, and the thing about benzos is I abuse them at multiple points in my life, and also justified having anxiety and depression disorder and all the things to continue to get benzos. But I was so bad at one point, not only did I wreck my car, I lost a car. When I was like 16 years old, I was taking benzos so bad, and they make you not remember. I lost a car for a good 3 weeks. We couldn't find my car in the city.
I overused them so much that I had memory loss and got an Alzheimer's diagnosis from the University of Iowa because of benzos. Now their official diagnosis is overuse of benzodiazepines. So here I am trying to sue people over a bad diagnosis. It's my fault. My fault.
Yep.
But I want.
And we are not. we're not trying to glamorize glory days at all. At 0 point. These are not. I used to think they were cool, like it was like a badge of honor, like I was messed up more than you, or I've been in jail for this long. No
horrible consequences. Horrible.
And also to say, look what Jesus did. Like, and that is kind of like a good segue into how God had put this live cast, podcast, whatever we end up doing, this chat between friends on both of our hearts, okay? And then gave us this name, Unrecognizable Recovery. And it's incredible because how I explained it to my husband is like, if people from my past met this me, they would not recognize me or equate Jamie MacDonald to Jamie Sexton, my maiden name, and vice versa. If people that knew me now would not see that person and put them together. And the same for Rick, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you come to know God. I think this is a great point. Do you still have that verse pulled up from our rehearsal run?
I do.
Rick's gonna share this verse with us about being a new creation in God.
It's 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here. It's
old is gone.
It's gone. Just like my past on the Corn Life Network. Sorry.
Gone. Bye.
Gone. It left in the past, left a second ago. Seriously, that's how you got to look at it. And this is something I'll cater on, is living in the moment, man. I mean, they'll get you through, right? Having an anxiety moment, this too shall pass. The next minute it might be gone. The next 6 minutes, whatever it is, this too shall pass. I heard that.
But what about before? Like before you were a new creation, if something happened that messed up, or like the things that happened today and everything's going wrong, how would you have reacted?
Oh, I've been horribly angry. I would have slammed something around. I would have slammed the door. I would have been abusive. I would have been
blamed everyone.
Right. It would have been blame everyone but me. You're doing this, or something happened, and blah, blah, blah. This is messed up. This would not have continued. I would have closed it and had a reaction that was appropriate. Me and my cat would have had an angry moment.
Right.
You know what? That is not okay.
No,
it's not okay to overreact like that. And it's not okay to have reactions like that. And I look back into my life and I can see all the times I overreacted and the damage it did in my life, relationships, friendships, social media.
Oh, man,
be the biggest keyboard warrior around.
Do you remember MySpace? Oh, I was too.
Oh,
MySpace, LiveJournal, Napster, all the things, because we're 100 years old.
Yeah, my LiveJournal still exists. I have
mine too.
And we gotta be friends on LiveJournal.
We do. It's so funny. Okay. Also, when we're discussing our age, and we'll jump back into it, but I do want to say, when we did our rehearsal hour earlier, we spent a good moment talking about our age and like 90s grunge, which led into conversation about ska, and how Rick and I were discussing like old school Christian music. We do want to make a comeback. So I just want to make another plug that if you haven't heard the song, You Are the Devil and the Devil is Bad by the W's, go check it out. It's a ska song and it's awesome.
Awesome. Also, anything by the OC Supertones.
I love the Supertones.
I was listening to the Supertones.
Oh my gosh. And what was it?
Go ahead.
DC Talk? Jesus Freak? Okay, I won't sing it because of copyright, but I want to.
What I will do, what I do is I'll sit here and I'll say, hey Alexa, I'll tell Alexa to play this music, because she would play it right now.
She would. Mine's turned off.
In fact, I'm gonna get, like, when I get done, I'm gonna have ads on my Amazon for recovery.
Oh, you absolutely are.
Facebook will be sending me recovery stuff. They'll be sending me all kinds of stuff. There's also a Facebook group too, if you don't know, Unrecognizable Recovery on Facebook. So if you want to subscribe there. Also, if you haven't got to this point, if you're still here listening after 40 minutes or something like that, you want to subscribe to
and all the chaos.
All the chaos.
Absolutely. Okay, but to jump back in, and we're talking, below, hit the like button. Go ahead and smash that bell so you get notifications. We will be live every Monday at 10 o'clock quicker than this week. Now that we've, the enemy's attacked 17 times this morning.
We will be recording other ones that we'll put up at a various time on topics like control issues, gratitude, things like mental health issues.
Yep.
And I'll take this time to say we are not experts in this. I am expert in how to drink too much. That's my expert witness. That's what I'm an expert in.
How to do everything too much.
Everything too much. I'm a cook by trade, so I'm okay cook. But
he's a good cook.
I'm a good cook. But I think we're not experts. If you have an issue with alcohol or drugs, seek professional help. Like if you seriously right now sit here, this is me. I got these issues. I'm like them. I'm just like them. And you want to change, seek it out. If you need treatment, get treatment. Good programs. They don't work for everybody. Not everything works for everybody. You'll find something. We've talked about this. We need to talk about this faith-based recovery. Because I've talked about secular ones while you were running.
Well, I think it's really important that we hit this real quick when we're talking about being a new creation, and we won't harp on it. Rick had a YouTube show before called Coffee Chat.
Coffee Talk with Rick. It was Coffee Talk with Rick and Cam.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what Cam was doing on camera.
Well, he was a lake surfer who lived in his van. Okay, so he had a golf course, which he worked at, and he actually would sit there and smoke weed in his van, and like we both cuss and go back and forth and argue about politics and stuff. Those are things I don't even talk about anymore. I talk about general issues about politics sometimes. I used to be a very political person, but we used to talk ragingly about politics. Don't do that anymore. But he would sit there in his van, smoke pot, and basically be a narcissist. 100% narcissist. Calling girls ice queens, calling this and that and the other thing. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I put up with that until he quit. I chose it. That's a big thing. There's choice in these things. And I chose it. He left because he couldn't take our conversations anymore, I guess. But that's the life I led. I was a Snoop Dogg listening punk rocker in my past. I used to go to Pennywise shows, completely recognizable for what I do today.
Well, and when we talk about, Snoop Dogg, just as I said earlier, I'm just turned 43. I graduated with my undergraduate degree in 2004. If I had a soundtrack of most of the first 3 decades of my life, it would be like Chronic 2001, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, 40 Ounces to Freedom, Master P, Ghetto D. And when that's what we're hearing. We're hearing girls called words I won't say, but very disrespectful. I am getting an idea of a spouse and a person to date in my head that is selling dope and going in and out of prison. That for most of my adult life, if you hadn't done time in prison, I wasn't going to date you. If you hadn't had drug charges or something very, very similar, gun charges, I wasn't interested. Like that is the life that I had created for myself. Or we talk about it earlier, and I talk about it all the time. And I stole this phrase from Robbie Robinson at Discover Hope, which is a faith-based recovery in Newton. It's God in, garbage out. Because when we continue to put garbage in our minds, in our bodies, in our hearts, then we can't expect anything but garbage to come out, right? That's why Rick keeps showing you the Bible and showing you like that is the truth. You want to put God in your heart, God in your spiritual life. You need to fill your cup to get good things out. Garbage out, God in, right? Mm-hmm. And when we talk about that, we talk about Cam and Rick's old show. When there are people that are living their life out loud, cursing, name calling, being judgmental, promiscuous sex life, promiscuous drug use, vehemently using drugs on camera, and it's totally acceptable because we live in 2026 and that's the way the world is. When I turn on Netflix and the first 4 shows that pop up, it's like infidelity, pornography, like all the things that are not of God and of this world. I don't want that. That's putting more garbage in, and not just my kids and me and my husband. So I think that's one of the reasons this was so important for us. When there are people doing so many things out loud, people need to be recovering out loud. We need to be claiming lives that are Christ-like. We need to claim that out loud. We need to be saying, look what Jesus did. Look what Jesus did that is so unrecognizable because of God. That's just amazing. Rick and I both attend the same church. We both attend, well, we've already talked about different recovery ministries. At our church, we have Celebrate Recovery. There are lots of faith-based recoveries, but I'm going to talk about Celebrate Recovery just because Rick talked about secular recovery, and he talked about how Bill and Bob wrote the 12 steps of AA and the principles.
And believe it or not, I went through all 12 steps from the 12 and 12.
I was watching. I saw most of it on the tablet. I just couldn't connect on there. But those 12 steps they came from things that are suggested in the Bible. So then to circle back, Celebrate then took what the 12 steps were, and then they went back and gave them a biblical counterpart. So give me just a second to open up this.
Hey,
he was showing
Jamie, Jamie, I want to recognize something here. You know Katie McDaniel?
Yeah.
Okay, well, she says she wants that. She can't wait to be unrecognizable.
Oh, that's awesome. She is trying to get into recovery and start changing her life. So we've got a lot of people praying for her up here, and if anyone deserves it, she does. I love you, sister. Celebrate Recovery. He was showing the big book. This is my leader's guide for Celebrate Recovery. But it's got a DNA, the core foundation, just like AA, NA. I was also in OA. There's SA. I'm also involved in Al-Anon. Okay, so for example, we have the Bible written, right? And then AA comes and they write step 1, which is that we admitted we were powerless over our addictions, our compulsions, our hurts, habits, hang-ups, fill in the blank, that our lives have become unmanageable. Okay, so that's the first. We admitted we were powerless over our alcoholism, whatever, fill in the blank. Okay, so then CR circles it back around to the Bible again. It's very cyclical and says that Romans 7:18 is the verse that goes with that. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. And I'm not gonna teach the whole Bible here today. I'm not claiming to be able to do that, but I'll just say that as humans, we were not created to be sinful. We were created in God's image, and that's how we were created. But in the Garden of Eden, we all know the story. And again, I'm going to suggest you go listen to that song by the W's. If you don't know the story, it's going to tell you the story. But we know there's a snake. We know that there's a choice. We know that Adam and Eve didn't listen to God. And because of that, we are cursed with sin in our world, right? Okay. So we don't deserve salvation. We don't deserve a good life. We can't earn it. We can't be unrecognizable on our own. But because of God and Jesus' sacrifice, we get to live this life. And if that doesn't make sense, and I know that's kind of in a nutshell, that doesn't make sense, or if that kind of, like we were talking about, ignites a fire in you where you can feel the Spirit, or that's something you want to talk about, you can reach out to either one of us. We would love to pray with you. I would love to set you on your way. That's kind of what Celebrate Recovery does. It doesn't function as a church, but it functions to get you to a church. Like, I am grateful to be in recovery today, because if I didn't struggle with addiction and alcoholism and all of the things that go along with that, I would never have a relationship with God. And so I'm so grateful for that today. So not just Celebrate Recovery, but like Rick said, there are lots of other programs here in our area. I'm going to share, because I have Rick's permission, that we actually met. My husband, Billy, and I used to lead a meeting here for another group called Sober Soldiers. I know I heard you mention them briefly while my phone was rebooting. That's another faith-based recovery. And that's how I met Rick, he came in with a good friend of ours who I'm sure would be fine with me mentioning. Kevin Hemphill brought him, newly 2 months sober Rick, into a Sober Soldiers meeting when we were leading it. And that was here. They have a big group in Des Moines and many followers online and all over the country. So that's something if you're in the Des Moines area. There's also, I'm going to shout out our friends Roxanne and Jeff Cooley. She's a pastor at Free Grace United, and they also have their own recovery on Wednesday nights, and that's in Wauchier. So those are just some of the programs that are around here. But I agree, you know, Sober Soldiers said, like, as long as you put God first and then recovery and then, you know, everything else chase after that, and your life's is going to line up. Right. And I know I heard, did you want to add something, Rick?
I've actually heard that from a guy who's actually in the program, living in the sober house at Sober Soldiers now, that they actually have some sort of basic program now that they didn't have before. So I don't know what's going on. Awesome. But I'd like to hear from TJ because he's out there. He'll probably watch us eventually. Yeah. I'd like to hear from TJ.
I'd love to find out. I don't know.
You know, we're gonna be doing testimonies and stuff eventually. Testimony stories, wherever program you're involved in. Some people call it a testimony. Some people call it their life story or whatever. We'll have some of those too. At some point, we'll be having guests because just like Jamie's in another location and I'm in another location. This may happen more often than not because sometimes we'll be putting up pre-recorded things that we'll both be on where it won't be possible to be in the same location. But we make a commitment to doing this. So we'll be here. And you could be on this too. You could be, because it's so simple. I send a link to your phone number or text or messenger or something. You click on it, you show up on screen. Was it easy, Jamie?
Super easy.
Okay, so if you're interested, I don't have actually send it to, I will save my email, my personal email, but it's a old email, and I'm not going to give you my new one because it's, you know, not as littered. It's a Gmail account from, I actually knew someone who worked for Google and he got me a Gmail account. So I have my first name and last name, richardcountryman@gmail.com. You can use my name. I don't really care. I'm out there. I'm easy to find. Send me an email on richardcountryman@gmail.com and we'll get you on the show. So if you want to come on, I don't know if we'll be doing testimonies for everybody or if you want to be a part of a subject talk or matter. If you want to come on, you have something you want to say, I can do that. Now, I also want to say that we're protected from swatting here. Find me. Our local police department knows that we're running these live casts. You call
and addresses.
And addresses. They know who's going to call. So you know who we are. You want to swat us. It's not going to work because my phone is right here and they'll call me and find out what's going on at my house. So if you understand swatting is a felony here in the state of Iowa, if you want to do it, find out. That's all I'm saying. So they know.
They know.
I was swatted in 2019. So just let you know.
So for those of you that don't know what that is, because I didn't know, I had to be educated by Rick this morning. People watch live streams and live casts from all over the world, all over the country. Let's say Rick and I were here. Someone got an insane idea to call and say there was a murder in my back bedroom. So then the police kick in the door and then it's live as they come and raid the house and, you know, get me on the ground. And that's actually happened to Rick. So we won't go into too many details, just that that's a thing. And so we have to say that. I just want to say before we get close to the hour mark and close off here, Rick and I both had been praying and talking to God about what we should be focusing on in the new year and what word we could use. Do you want to share yours?
Sure, connect.
And what does that mean to you? And what do you think God's trying to get you to do?
Connect with more people about my recovery. I should be actively out there spreading the word about recovery. For me and what I do, this is basically spreading the word. It's like spreading the word of Jesus. I want to spread the word about recovery and that recovery is possible because I'm experiencing it. I'm a completely changed human being. The way I react to things are totally different. I learned to listen. I replaced my solution with another solution.
Yeah.
And I don't choose because I think in most situations, choosing to drink is what happened. And that's what I did. And that was my go-to. So I don't do that anymore. I replaced it with other things.
Yeah. I love that. Love that, love that, love that. I think this is for me and definitely not for anyone. And Rick will show you he's always got a cup of coffee in the morning. God really convicted me. And just so everybody knows, this is hot chocolate and green tea. I made a very deliberate choice to express that God had put on my heart to stop drinking caffeine and quit the no nicotine vape. And I did that so that people would hold me accountable, because that's what we're supposed to do, especially brothers and sisters in Christ. We are supposed to be able to confront each other in love. And my word for 2026 was spur, S-P-U-R. And I think if you picture like the spur on a horse propelling everything forward, the verse God gave me is Hebrews 10:24. And it is, and let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and towards good deeds. And that is not just myself, my family, my church, my Celebrate Recovery people. I mentor women that mentor me, choosing to encourage and motivate and not gossip and not divide, and to not be, as I said, talk the talk Christians and be walk the walk Christians. Not be show up for church service late every Sunday morning, but show up every day of the week. And for me, that meant listening to God and giving up caffeine, but not because caffeine I feel like is a bad thing. If I could moderate it and I wasn't abusing it, I would be fine to have it. But I don't drink a cup of caffeine. I have 2 scooters with like 8 or 7 or 8 shots of espresso in them, and then 2 energy drinks, and then a 10-hour energy. Like there's no moderation. So we just take it out, because like we talked about before, for me, putting more garbage in my body means I'm getting garbage out. And God just really wanted me to take away. So let's say I have like a God-sized hole in my heart, and it's a specific, it's like a puzzle, right? It's only for God that's going to fit there. And I keep shoving, before it was drugs and alcohol, and then nicotine, and then like sex and promiscuous sex, and any of the things that codependency, anything that takes my focus away from God is not something that I need to focus on, right? I'm not going to sing it because copyright, but we've got dust on our Bibles, brand new iPhones. We wonder why we feel this way, right? Mm-hmm. We're focusing on idols and we're not focusing on God. So for me, it was to spur myself on, encourage me to be more Christ-like in my daily life, and encourage my brothers and sisters to do the same. So that's awesome. My word for 2026.
Awesome. I like it. I read your post. I read your post, and I've heard it from your mouth. So
yeah. Sometimes I'm really blessed.
I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
I remember I for 4 days before I was called a misogynist and fired, I worked with scooters. And I remember
I forgot about that. I do remember now. Really funny, but I forgot about that.
Yeah, 4 days. Yeah, wow. Oh yeah, well, that was a crazy girl. I can't judge her, whoever she, I don't know her past. I don't know what happened to her. I can't judge her, but she didn't like me. I was rude and a misogynist. So they fired me by wow. But
and again,
it is what it is.
That goes back to what that goes back to one of the first things we talked about. It is about control and what we can control and what we can't control. And for me, and this is something I have to tell my kids, right? Hadley, my middle child, is really big on justice and fairness. Like if Isabella got this, then Hadley has to have this. Or like that timeouts should look the same for the 4-year-old and the 8-year-old. And that's just not right. Sometimes the same isn't fair across the board, right? So explaining to my kids, well, she's lying or she did this. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's between her and God, right? What she's doing over there is between her and God. How you react and how you treat her and what you do is going to be between you and God, right? So let's just worry about what's right in front of us and what we can control.
Right. Control. It's all about control. I tell you, I've been so happy since I gave up control over the things that I couldn't control.
Absolutely.
And then I'm powerless over most things. I could talk about powerlessness for a month.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. That's why I'm so interested in someone telling me about smart recovery, because my brain cannot wrap myself around it.
I need to find. We need to reach out to Smart Recovery.
We do. We need to do some research. Maybe I have it totally wrong. That's the Google version.
The same kind of thing. So I asked AI, of course, the devil.
Oh Lord, terrifying. But I just did a Google search, so we've got to be along the right lines. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more research and see. There is evidence-based research that it has worked for some people,
Hey, but that's okay.
God has different plans for everyone, and that's not wrong.
The only thing I think I have an issue with, because I believe in a disease concept. I believe DSM-5, DSM-6 will have the same thing. Substance abuse disorder and alcohol abuse disorder. They are definitely diseases, medical things. So you say, I don't believe it. Well, if you believe in anything medically and you take medicine, that's kind of where we're at. We got a disease concept to deal with right now. Until they prove otherwise, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I have a friend, I'm looking at the chat. Katie says, that's a hard one for me to give up, the control issue. Yeah. Oh yeah. Believe me. I believe
so
me.
True.
I was the guy who literally sat there. I was told something that was inflammatory. It would make a lot of people upset, because when I was telling my friends what was said to my then spouse, I literally jumped up and down and screamed for 20 minutes. Why isn't this going on? You never see me do that kind of thing today. Never.
Yeah.
Of course not. I probably would say something along the lines of, okay, it is what it is. We'll deal with it as it comes, because one moment at a time.
One second at a time sometimes.
That's how I quit drinking. That's how I get through things. 1 second at a time. There's a hard thing. I chose another solution, focusing on the moment.
Yeah.
And getting through, because this too shall pass.
It will. And just quickly about what you said about addiction and alcoholism being a DSM diagnosis. And there are some people that argue until they're blue in the face about that. Well, God, for me, it's, cancer doesn't not exist as a diagnosis just because God can cure it. Like, I'm not going to put God in a box. Yes, I do think that people get affected with diseases. I absolutely do. Do I think drug addicts and alcoholics make one choice to take that first drink? Absolutely. And what happens after that is not up to us, right? But I'm not going to put God in a box. We have a missions woman that came and talked probably a year, 18 months ago at church. And she kept talking about how God kept calling her on it. Like, oh, ye woman of little faith, right? Like, God, it's unstoppable. We can't box God in. Everything can be cured. And we can say on the other side of it, look what Jesus did.
Right.
It's unrecognizable. It is. I feel like we need to wrap it up and kind of end on that point.
We do. I think it's perfect. Rick, and that's Jamie. And keep coming back to wherever you're doing. Come see us again next Monday. We'll probably have a show up sometime. At least a short or something that'll come up that will run. And we will see you guys later. Say goodbye, Jamie.
Jesus loves you. So do I.
Good night, or good morning, or a good day. It's now noon. Bye, guys.
Good night.